us up on our podcast. We hope that you hear something that will encourage you and strengthen you and enable you to move on in life. Once again, thank you for tuning and continue listening. Good evening. This is Brian Seth Matthews, and we once again want to thank you for tuning in to our Building Us Up podcast. And tonight we're going to be talking about, and we're continuing on with the family episodes, but tonight we want to talk about something that most people want to shy away from, and that is family and dealing with grief. And many people don't want to deal with grief. They don't want to talk about ever going through anything bad. They want everything always happy-go-lucky. And sometimes in life, we are going to go through a period of grief. We're going to have to mourn. We're going to have to cry. We're going to have to shed some things. We're going to have to lose some things. And in losing, there's always a sense of, I've lost. I'm grieving. I need to mourn. And most don't want that feeling. Everybody today wants to be always happy. And I chose this topic today because today is 9/11, and it has been 18 years since the Twin Towers was attacked by whomever did it. I don't know who did it. There's governmental speculations. I'm not here to talk politics. I'm not here to talk about who shot John or whatever. I'm here to talk about the grief portion of it. And I want to start by saying I remember vividly 18 years ago, I was at work. I was a CNA at the time. I was working for Attic Angel, which is a private elderly facility. And I remember going in the break room and the news was on and everybody was mesmerized. And when I looked up at the TV, all I saw was one of the Twin Towers just up in flames, smoke all around, big hole in the side of it, and somebody in the break room said they ran a plane into the Twin Towers. And I believe this was when the first one happened that I saw it, and then they showed us when the second one happened. It was very early in the morning. I didn't really know what was going on because it was very early in the morning. So, and you know, anybody that's ever worked in the field, in a medical field, when you have those early shifts, you're barely awake. You got to come and wake people up, get them ready for their daily activities, help them with those activities as well. But I remember the world being saddened about what was going on because we didn't know if we were getting ready to go to war on our own land or what was happening. We just knew that the buildings had been attacked. There were people that were losing their lives. You could see people jumping out of the building because they knew there was no way to get out, and they would rather just jump to their death than burn. It was really heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching as well because it was something that I had never, ever seen. Even being a man of war, being in the Marine Corps, I was in the Gulf War, I was part of Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and seeing so much death, I had never seen anything quite like what was going on 9/11 that year. And also, that I know it was 18 years ago because my daughter had just been, she was a few months old. So it was pretty, well, she was almost a year old because she was born in December. So she had to be about 8 months old, 8, maybe 9 months old, if I'm calculating correctly. But so many people dealt with so many different emotions on that day. There was a sense of excitement, and that not being a happy excitement, but there was a sense of excitement, a sense of awe, a sense of, I can't believe this is happening on U.S. soil. And then the Pentagon was attacked as well. So a lot went on that day. So many people lost loved ones. They lost jobs. They lost materialistic things. I mean, so it was a real sense of losing on that day because we didn't know what had happened. We didn't know who had done it. We didn't know why they had done it. And all we know is we saw people running for their lives. And today I saw a documentary, a small documentary, on a gentleman he was one of the execs in the building over Morgan Stanley. I don't necessarily know his name, but he orchestrated getting quite a few people out, almost 2,700 people out of the building before he himself lost his life. So my heart goes out to his family, as well as my heart goes out to all the families that have lost loved ones that were part of the 9/11 incident, and even those that are still losing their family members due to the cancer that was a after part of this ordeal. And nobody could have seen what was to come just from that incident. And that's why I always say everything we do affects everybody. Who could have known that incident would still be affecting us other than it being memorialized? Who could have known that it will still be affecting families to this day? Because there are people dying every day due to the exposure of maybe asbestos, maybe different chemicals that were we don't know what chemicals that were used in the actual explosion of the building. So people were exposed to many different things. And so families, as I said, are being affected to this day. To this very day, people are still being affected. And I chose to talk about this today with our next episode because not only because it's 9/11 and it's an important subject and we should never forget, just like we don't want to forget those that were lost in the wars that we've fought before, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, different wars, even wars before that. I'm not a historian, so I can't name them all off verbatim, so forgive me. But I chose this topic today because I had the great opportunity to be a part of a training for grief, and it's called Grief Journey. And I don't know if I've talked about this before on one of my other 3 podcasts, but Grief Journey is an organization that helps, assists, and is there for people who have had great loss in their life, whether it be a loved one, whether it be divorce, whether it be a job. Any type of loss is grieving. But for the most part, it's for people that have lost loved ones and they don't know how to grieve in such a manner that is healthy. And for the most part, family members don't know how to help those that are grieving because many of us were reared up in what's the word? In communities that taught us, okay, there's a specific time, there's a specific way, and a specific format for grieving, and you have to follow that according to our culture. Not knowing that put many people in a box where they never really get over what they've lost. They never really get over the person because sometimes you haven't been able to say what you wanted to say to that person before they died, and you weren't able to hug that person before they died, or maybe you had an argument with a person before they died, and At times, you feel guilty because these things happen. And I'm sure some of these feelings were going through some of those that were left behind with family members being lost on 9/11. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I just want to talk about grieving because so many of us have lost individuals in our lives and we haven't had the proper grieving period, which there is no specific time or format that we have to follow. I come from a background where you're taught to get over it. I come from a community where, hey, look, we don't go see therapists. We don't admit we're going through depression. We don't admit that life is bad. We just keep pushing and we keep going and we get over it. Put a smile on your face. And in a sense, they said, fake it till you make it. That may be true with some things like buying a cubic zirconian for your fiance until you can afford a diamond. But when it comes to grieving, that phrase does not work. So I have heard some doozies, and me going through this facilitators, training helped me understand that there are so many people out there just like me that have lost a father, have lost a grandmother, have lost an auntie, have lost a cousin to gun violence, have lost, a numerous amount of relatives, some to unnecessary deaths and some to natural deaths. So, but we have to understand we are not trying to fix people. Okay, that is not our job to try and fix people. Our job is to be a support system and to listen and to help when they ask. Bottom line. Because so many times we feel like we have to be the family therapist. We feel like we have to be the shoulder to cry on, and we have to be the dumping grounds for everybody's problems. But who helps us when we have our problems if we're helping everybody else? Nobody knows. So, in essence, going through this training taught me so many things, and I had the opportunity to be part of my first group once I finished the training 2 weeks ago, and it was so many people there that had freshly lost a loved one. They could barely even speak their name, and I get it, because there's times when I think about the loss of my father, the loss of my grandmother, who we call Nana, and it's hard. It's hard to deal with those types of things, because if you've never had anyone to talk to, and you've never had anyone to lean on, and everybody always told you, just get over it, what are you to do? You feel like all you can do is get over it. But yet and still, when you have a moment by yourself and you really sit down and think about what's happened, you break down. And you're forever breaking down because you've never had an avenue or a vehicle for proper grieving. Grieving doesn't mean that you're losing because you've already lost something. It means that you're strong enough to admit, I need help. I can't do this by myself. Sometimes you feel like you're losing your mind. Sometimes you feel like you're losing everything. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to get up and go outside. You don't want to hang with your family. You don't want to eat. You just want to lay in the bed and just not even necessarily watch TV. You just want to be by yourself and just try to drill through it on your own because you feel like there's no one there to help you. That's not always true. There's always someone there to help you. It may not be a family member. It may not even be your best friend. Sometimes the very person that will help you is the very least person you would expect. A total stranger. And in most cases, that's the case. So we have to understand that us going through our processes when we lose something, just say for instance in a divorce. In a divorce, you have lost, or you feel like you've lost everything. You've lost your wife. In many cases, you've lost what you feel like is the love of your children because they have to pick a side. And you've lost your in-laws, which in some cases people actually get along with their in-laws. And to lose that wife doesn't want you to be able to talk to her parents or her family anymore. She expects them to cut them off, and you expect your family to cut her off. That's not always the case. Sometimes people, once you're in the family, you're in the family. And those are good circumstances, but it doesn't always work out that way. So you feel like you've lost all those things, and it's like the world is on top of your shoulders, and you are boggled down, barely able to walk. You're almost on your knees crawling because everything is just falling apart. And that is the truth. That's how you feel. And until you can get some air or get to that person that can actually listen and understand that it is the way it is, yes, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Excuse me, y'all. A light at the end of that tunnel. So it's just really crazy how people don't understand that. But yeah, we are always looking for a way to grieve, like there's some special way. There is no special way. Some people grieve by crying. Some people grieve by screaming, hopefully by themselves and not at someone. But it happens. Some people start binge eating, which is not good either. Some people start just sheltering themselves off from the world, shutting the doors on the world, family, loved ones, friends. None of those are really healthy, but they happen. So, again, this organization, Grief's Journey, that I'm so blessed to be a part of right now, they have been in existence for quite a while now. And they are there to help those that have lost, those that are grieving, those that need help, and just need a listening ear of someone who has been trained to listen. It's an 8-week session, and it meets once a week. They talk about what's going on. They explain who they've lost. They may watch a movie pertaining to what they're going through, and they cater to children. The ages are from like 3 on up to an adult, if I'm not mistaken. And they are wonderful. Or should I say we are wonderful. But there's so many people out there that really want the help to get through and to get, for the lack of a better term, better. So I chose this topic for today just to kind of touch on it, just to, not in a sense, I want to say commemorate, but I don't know if that's the correct word, but to touch on the 9/11 situation, because I know so many people lost family members on this day, those so many years ago, and so many people are still dealing with it, and even on a positive note, some of the children of the victims that were lost, they've joined the fire station, they've joined the fire department in New York, or even fire departments or police departments in other cities, because I know there was other cities that helped out. They joined those entities that were helping with the tragedy. And whether that was to actually do it on behalf of their loved one, or if they really just always wanted to do it, it doesn't even matter, because they're doing something to help the community, and I commend them, I congratulate them, and wish them well, and wish them the safety that needs to go along with their position, because you never know, being a firefighter or a police officer, if you're going to come home the next night. Somebody's always on pins and needles waiting to get a phone call. So that's something we have to continue to pray about. Lift them up. Always give them an encouraging word. Let them know that we support them and we're behind them 100%, as long as they're doing right. So they understand that the community is standing in a gap for them. So once again, we thank them for doing what they're doing. We thank those that gave their lives on this day 18 years ago for the sake of others. And we're thankful for those that made it out. And we're continuing to lift those up, those families up in prayer that were affected by it and are still being affected by it. And we understand your grief. We understand your loss. We understand what you're going through. And we're hugging you from far away. We don't take for granted the life that we live. At least you shouldn't. Don't take for granted that you're here and you're always going to be here, because we don't know what the next second holds for us. No one knows. We can speculate, we can guess, we can try to calculate it in some scientific manner, but we honestly don't know. That's the truth of the matter. But we just hope and pray that our very next second will continue to be, if not as good or better than what we were just experiencing. So, once again, if you're not sure, look up the organization, Grief Journey. If you don't have one in your city, reach out to me or them, and we can help you get one in your city, because we want this to grow. We want to be able to help people. We want to be there for people. We want to help people understand that someone is there for them in their time of need, in their time of bereavement, in their time of grieving, in their time of loss. So I hope someone was helped. I hope someone received an encouraging word, and to know that we are here for you. And just like the title of our show says, building us up, we want to help build you up with as much education on any topic that we could possibly talk about. Any topic. And so whatever that topic is, I'm game, because we want to be able to help and give service to our fellow man, because that's what we're called to be. And just like my last show asked, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am my brother's keeper, and I'm grateful for being my brother's keeper. I'm not here to be a crutch for you. I'm not here to do everything for you. I'm here to help you the best way I can, which means sometimes I may not be able to help you. It is what it is. So, but I'll do my very best, and we'll do our very best to put you in contact with someone that can help you. So, if you're grieving right now, know we're here for you. We're praying for you. We're lifting you up. It's not a religious organization. I just say pray for people because I do pray for people. So, They don't push religion of any sorts. They just simply listen to what you have to say and follow your lead. So it doesn't matter what you call yourself. That's between you and God, or whoever it is that you serve, or whoever it is that you're, praying to, or whatever the case is. Again, I don't want to offend anybody, but I'm going to be true to myself because I am a Christian. I do pray. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus, and that is my truth. And I'm not going to change that for anybody. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. But I do know how to help people that are not Christians. I do know how to help people that don't profess to be Christians and are a part of other quote-unquote religions. So I just wanted to clear that up so that we all know where I stand. So when you hear me talk about praying, Jesus, Christianity, things like that, you're not offended, because I'm going to be true to myself just like I expect you to be true to yourself. And if you have comments, please keep your negative comments to yourself. And just like I won't ever get on here and bash anybody for whatever they believe. That's not my MO, because I believe that being a Christian, we are supposed to promote love, whether we agree or not. I can't force you to believe what I believe, nor will I try. But I will teach what I believe. I will say what I believe, and I will live what I believe without being dogmatic, because I know how. And that's what I believe Jesus came to do. So I'm going to follow that example. So we may not agree on everything, but that doesn't mean we can't talk to each other, that we can have a decent conversation. That's all I want to do. Let's have a decent conversation. We don't have to fully agree. I'm not going to disrespect you. You're not going to disrespect me, because then we lose, right? Then we're grieving. So be mindful of what you say, be mindful of what you do, and understand that everything you do not only affects you, but it affects your complete surroundings. And that is my lesson for today. That is my note. If you're grieving, there's someone there to help you. Just let us know. Reach out, shoot us an email, and we'll do our best to help. Give us some comments on the show. I'm open to whatever it is to make the show better. I'm working on an intro and outro jingle to come with this, so we're learning. I'm doing my best to read, and everything won't be so gloomy or talking about grieving. We're going to have some happy shows. We're going to have some happy guests, things like that. So I just want to get it going. You never learn until you actually get out there. You can't get out and make a difference in the world if you're not in the world. So have a good night. Keep your heads up. Know that there's someone to help you in your time of grieving. And once again, we want to say thank you to all those who gave their life and their lives and whatever you gave on 9/11 18 years ago, because that's what's gotten us to this point. God bless you. God keep you.